Sting grew up in the neck of the woods that I live in here. He grew up in Wallsend, which is in the northeast of England. He was called Sting after black and yellow striped jumpers that he used to wear in his, I think, early 20s, late teens, and famously was a school teacher before he became a professional musician. I've never met him, but I did know, I worked with somebody who knew him really well at one point back in the early 90s, I think it was. Um, so he was the lead singer and bassist for the band The Police from 1977 to 1986, which was the whole run of their existence. He started releasing solo albums in 1985 and has released 15 so far. He is known for his activism and his philanthropy, and for a significant acting career. He's one of the richest people in the UK music industry, and if you want to know more, there's a huge amount of stuff written about him on Wikipedia, so follow the link if you want to go find out more. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was Sting's second solo album, and I got a vinyl copy of this soon after release. I'd been quite a fan of his first solo album, so I thought I'd give this a go, and I enjoyed it, and I still do. So I know it quite well. I know some of the tracks very well. And as I was saying, I was a big fan at the time of Sting. So this album kind of exemplifies the thing that I think of as being the UK adult album market of the 80s. So let me try and explain what I mean here. So in the 70s, and I'm in some ways, so I was born in the 60s, but I kind of my formative years for music were the 70s. And for people of my sort of age, we would listen to the radio in the 70s. There was lots of really good stuff on the radio in the 70s. And as we grew older, and we got into the 80s, quite a few of the acts who'd been kind of single-based acts in the 70s moved to being album-based acts in the 80s. They tended to deepen somewhat, although there was some depth to some of the stuff they did as singles, and make rounded albums to sell to this market. And I think it was particularly a thing in Britain. There was this market, and the names that come to mind when I think of this phenomenon are people like Sting, Dire Straits, Tina Turner, Kate Bush, Peter Gabriel, and who were all Brits, and Paul Simon, who is American. And many others, of course. And so there was definitely this kind of, yeah, you buy these albums, it's a little bit more in depth than the singles kind of stuff. Moving on, right? So back to this album. It's a grab bag of styles, which you can see from the Acclaimed music listing of this. I think the best thing that I can say is that it's singer-songwriter, in that it's got a kind of a collection of different influences in here. So there's a general kind of soft rock sensibility going on here, but not in a bland way. And there are mixed in elements of jazz and folk and world music. All three of those are things that Sting explored to quite a lot of an extent as his career went on. Folk, particularly, he got involved in a bit later on in his career. It's got a particularly strong use of interesting instruments, but especially I want to mention the soprano sax of Branford Marsalis. It's a great sound he's got. It's not a set band, so there's quite a bit of changeover of people on different instruments, so different tracks have different feel, which is, yeah, but it all kind of ties together because it's written by Sting and sung by Sting. Sting has said himself that he surrounds himself with amazingly talented musicians and often feels quite challenged by the talent that he's around. I would say that his playing is also sensitive and strong. So it may be that some of them are more technically able than him, but I think he fits in pretty well. Musically, I love it, and I have to say that I will often say about things like rap that I'm not the target audience. Well, for this, I very much am the target audience. I was at the time. I was, what was this, 1987? So I was just in my early 20s when this came out, and it was very much aimed at people like me. And I still love it musically. In retrospect, I'd say maybe some of the slower songs I feel are a bit duller than some of the others, but I think that's not a huge weakness here. Vocally, well, it's Sting, so it's distinctive, it's strong, and it's expressive. He's got this particular tone, which is very recognisable. Particularly comes through in his high notes, and he can sing fairly high at times. Songs about stuff. So this is why I've kind of said singer-songwriter before, is because there is a strong emphasis on the songwriting here. So we've got Love and Life. So, for example, It's Still My Beating Heart, We'll Be Together, and Fragile, which is a lovely, gentle song. Social commentary. So History Will Teach Us Nothing. And Face Down Salone, which is about a habit of people in South America um, whose so women in South America whose men had disappeared under particular regimes to do a kind of silent protest about this, where there was opportunities to dance. They would dance as if they were dancing with the person that they had lost. This is kind of looking back. Actually, even at the time, there was a kind of feeling maybe that Sting had a tendency to be a little preachy on things like this. On his previous album, there was a track, They Worked the Black Seam, which was all about coal mining. He definitely had his thing about social commentary, but it was very much a thing at the time, so it, it stood up in the time frame here. There's a song about Quentin Crisp, which is Englishman in New York, which is one of my favourites. It's kind of got a jazzy feel to it. But my absolute favourite song on the album is Rock Steady, which is again quite jazzy. It's kind of blues set of chords, which is about Noah and his boat. And it's my favourite track on the album, I have to say. It's so strong songwriting, strong musically, strong delivery. This is an old friend of mine, this album, I have to say. It's been around for years, and so what I do when I'm doing these reviews is I tend to listen to a batch of albums. In this case, I've listened to this is the fourth of a batch of albums that I've been listening to. So I listen through once and listen to again. So what I don't like to do is to listen to the same album back to back. This is why you'll find that when you look at me, I'm in the same get up that I was in the previous three videos, although I'll stage the release of them. Um, Over that period of time, since I listened to this the first time, these songs have been rattling around my head. Just from one listen, it's kind of popped them back up. And so I think the thing that indicates is that there's a lot of strong songs in this album that are ones that will stick in your head and are easy to remember, which is a good kind of thing for things to be. So I love it. That's what I think of this album. Please let me know what you think of this album by leaving me a comment. Next up on this channel is Electric Vision by the New Pornographers, but that's it from me for now.